Morning. Hope everyone is doing well today, that you're enjoying the summer and this holiday weekend, that you're doing lots of fun things with family. Happy Independence Day, or close to it. So, I think we're going to have a little barbecue here on Monday. And so, whatever you're doing, boating, fishing, barbecuing, whatever, hopefully it's a good and a safe weekend. And this morning is it here in the foothills in California. It is starting to heat up. It's going to be a nice warm day, but it looks absolutely beautiful. So, fun day here. All right. Again, pop in and say hello. Let me know that you're there, and we're going to get started on part two. Hello, Lisa and Marie and Alex and Linda. It's good to have you guys here this morning. Thank you for coming. Really do appreciate that you come in and give time and listen to this, and hopefully it inspires you to do things maybe a little bit out of your box, and have fun with things and dream a little, and what could I do with this, and make things a little bit more my own, or not my own but your own. But that's how I look at it, because sometimes, yes, I can go and I can buy something that I am making, probably cheaper than I could make it. But if I'm going to give it as a gift, or I want it for myself, and I have put the time and the effort into it, for some reason it just makes it more special. And I love it a little bit more. And so when I talk about zipper pouches, they're a dime a dozen, and you can buy makeup kits and zipper pouches all over the place. But when you make it yourself and you put your own fabrics and your own designs and your own love into it, it just makes it more special. So um, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit more. I'm going to take a minute or two that I see quite a few people are on already. Is that I want to review a little bit of what we did last week with the jelly plate, or the gel printing process on a jelly plate. And those jelly plates come in many sizes now, and shapes even. You can get small squares, ovals, circles, diamonds, different sizes for whatever it is that you're going to be working with. And so you have gel plate, you have acrylic paints with fabric medium. And the fabric medium, what it really does, because you can make acrylic paint permanent by using and by letting it sit for about 48 hours, and then iron set it or heat set it. You could throw it in the dryer, or you could run an iron over it and then wash it, and it is permanent. But what happens is the acrylic paint is a little bit thick, so sometimes thinning it down helps that softness. But the fabric medium, number one, will create a permanency to that acrylic paint, and the and it keeps it soft and flexible. And so for those two reasons, I highly recommend, if you're going to use acrylic paint, please use the fabric medium with it, or buy fabric paints. And there's plenty of them on the market. Jacquard is a good brand, and they have a number of paints now readily available at big box stores, that type of thing, for tie-dye and all of that. So you can readily get those and use that, and your fabric, the hand of your fabric doesn't change that much at all. And so you've got your paints, you've got your jelly plate, and you can play. And things around your house can make marks. Your paper towel or toilet paper roll, when it's finished, makes wonderful circles. You can bend it and shape that and get wonderful shapes. The bubble wrap, um, kitchen utensils that you're not going to use in the kitchen anymore. Anything that makes a mark can be used on the jelly plate, as long as it's not sharp and you destroy or rip or tear your plate with it. So it needs to be something that you can press into. If you were a stamper or are a stamper and you have all those stamps, those work really great. Again, then you would put the paint on your brayer and then stamp it onto your fabric or your plate to get the kind of marks that you're looking for. So I'm going to go back and show you a few things, and we're going to talk about so what do you do with it? I know when I first played with the jelly plate, I had all these examples. Tons of them, and then I looked at the pile and go, okay, but none of them really match, nothing goes together because I was playing with all these paints, and what do I do with it? And so that's when the dreaming started, and the wasting time on Pinterest that I'm sure that we all do, just to say, what can I do? And that's when I was getting started with the whole mixed media and using fabrics together with paper, and I was excited about that, and it opened up a new world for me, personally, because that's what I like. But I want to show you some other things today too that I can that I use mine for and work with, and hopefully it will inspire and show you some ways to do projects, things that make sense to you. And right now, one of the things that I'm working on with the jelly plate and haven't quite figured it out is taking and transferring photos and pictures to the fabric using the jelly plate. And I've gotten some really good success, but it's not consistent. And so I have to find, for me, that consistency, because you put the paint down, and if you're using your own photos, you take it and get it or print it out on laser. It needs to be laser, it can't be inkjet. And put it face down, and then you're going to take a pull from that. But it's the right amount of paint, it's the right color of picture, and the high quality magazine photos and stuff works really well. So that's kind of what I'm playing with. I didn't show you that because I haven't perfected it for me, and I don't get the quality result the first time. So I'm still playing. So let's let me change the camera to the table. And so the first thing that I want to share with you is that piece that I made last week. I created my own stencil. I had two layers back here. I had my background layer, and then I did a layer of texture. The texture didn't come out really well on this one, and so therefore I made a stencil and put it on. One of the things that I like to do, and I usually make almost a new set for every year because they get stained or they get worn or whatever. This is a drop cloth, a paint drop cloth. I, pay $10 or less at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, any place that sells painting supplies would have drop cloths. And I like using them because they're inexpensive and I can get a ton of placemats out of it, and I use them outdoors. And because the wind and different things, I usually put a pocket on it of some kind. And I have in the past painted, stamped, dyed, whatever, the drop cloths. Today I left it white, so this would show up really well. And so I cut that piece that I had done last week on it as a rectangle. I turned under and top stitched it down and left the top open for a napkin and my silverware, so that doesn't blow away, and it's held in place. And so I can design and create a table full, and it's fun, it's personal, and it makes for a lovely table outside. So that is one thing that you could do with your fabric. And I used to do this with regular fabric that I bought at the store, and that works just as well. but this makes it personal and this makes it fun. So that was one thing that I did with that. I told you that I have used these in quilts. So this was jelly plate materials that I had used and done, and this was left over from a quilt that I was making for a friend who wanted a bright, happy, fun, quick quilt for putting on an outdoor chair or something, is what she was going to do with it. And this was left over from that. So I used the same paints repeatedly in this piece. And from that, I cut all of these squares from that using the same paints, but each block came out differently. And she had decided she wanted this little flower in each of the blocks in some way. So that's what I did. I, put a background, I did texture, and then I stamped these flowers on. This right here, if you can, I don't know if you can see on camera real well, but I put very light yellow and little bits of green onto the plate, and then I used a um, it was a trivet that I had that had these little marks in it, and they were very tight. It was a silicone trivet, and but it I had burnt one corner of it, and so I printed all that fabric the same. So this is personalized fabric that I did specifically so that it would go with what I had done. So this is one way that you could do that, is make a series of color and prints, and then cut them into whatever squares that you have from the best part of your jelly plate design or the printing that you did. And this is interesting because I did a class. We made gel prints in class, and one of the students gave this as a gift at the end. So even commercially, they're starting to make prints that look like stuff that I get from my jelly print. And so yes, again, you can buy them, but it's just so much fun to experiment and play and create your own work. And then I mentioned the zipper bag. I really like to do zipper bags, and after the class last week, I put on top of one of the pieces of fabric that I had played with in class, um, and then I did a stencil of this little bicycle on top of that and gave it a pull, and I really liked it. So I created this little zipper bag with that piece, and so I sewed that in, sewed the two, made the case, and then I thought, well, up here I could stamp something, I could use other things, I embroidery on it, slow stitch, whatever. But then I thought about, well, some of these other pieces that I had been cutting up, I decided that I would take these little pieces, I would throw them on there, and then that piece that didn't come out so well last week, that really I wasn't happy with the end result, and instead of taking it and putting another layer over it, which easily could do, I decided to do raw edge applique. And so I cut out two of the leaves, and now I can, if I wish, I can create a little raw edge applique onto the top of that bag, and have another little piece there, or raw applique alone. And I've even used this as turned applique. It works just as well. And the needle, if I am using the fabric medium and acrylic paints, or if I'm using fabric paints, I have no trouble putting the needle through this. It goes through quite easily. You could, take scraps and pieces, and this was that other one that the colors I mixed and made mud instead of, you know, um, what I was hoping for. And you can take and create something else from those pieces, put it over the top and have that on the bottom. Put it this way, and you know, put that over on this side. You can play until you find something that you like and create it yourself. I have often taken strips of this and done them in the bags, across for makeup bags and things, given them as Christmas gifts. Those are really fun. I did this pull. I got out my larger jelly plate after class, and this is probably 3 or 4 layers. And what I wanted to do, and this one was created by putting, I had the dark purple as bluish purple here as my background. And then I did a couple of texture layers, but I never did a pull in between. I put down the purple, waited till it dried, then put the next layer on, let it dry, and then I started with this, what is a bath mat from the tub, and I had cut a piece out so I could use it, and that's what those are, those non-slip plastic tubs. And I put that down as a layer, and then I had this, I think it's a rice or a potato thing, but the handle had broken, so now I use it and I get this fanned shape. And so there's about 5 layers here. And once it was all dry, then I put a layer of white over the top, very thin. And I worked very quickly because I was only working with acrylic paint last week. And I took a pull. And so I got this all in one pull of working quickly, so that it could dry between each of the layers. So that was something I didn't show you, but I can tell you a little bit about that. This is a piece that I am going to put on a tote bag for my daughter. She was playing and made it, and she said, that would be really nice. So I'm going to get some tote bag. It looks like the straw tote bags, that fabric. It's a millinery fabric, and this is going to go on the inside. And she wanted a little bit smaller tote, so she made this bright for summer. Lives in San Diego, so thought this would be a lot of fun. So I have that to make, and then just to share with you the play after class last week. This is again, this was a piece of bent cardboard that gave me all that crackle stuff. This was a toilet paper, different toilet paper rolls, and a medicine bottle, and so I just got bigger. This was a paper towel. This was toilet paper. This was a large medicine bottle that I had, that I got a prescription in. And so just playing with different things, and I had glued and stapled them all together on one side so I would get a consistent print from that. So I have these things, and here was another example. So you can see this wasn't at all pretty, but when I got the bicycle, I saw this section. I really liked it, so I cut that out. And so you can have a mess and still come out with something very, very pretty on that. And this, if you did a whole series of leaves in a quilt with other fabrics, it would be absolutely lovely. And I love this, and I'm going to definitely be using that in an art piece or a mixed media piece that I'm going to be doing. And this was my, what I showed you when the plate got messy. I put some white paint over it and took a pull of what was left on the plate. So that's a quick review of what we did last week. And if you're wondering about, creating a zipper bag, I have a lining here, which is the same lining that I used on the inside of that. And so for a very, very simple bag, and today is not necessarily about making a bag, but it's talking about the things that you can do with these prints that you now have. So I, have, I think this is 9.5 or whatever. I have a zipper. So you have your lining and you put it face up. You put your zipper down. And I think instead of sewing it, because I don't, um, I'll just pin it together so you can see what I'm doing, because this is about the simplest bag that you can possibly make. And so I'm going to put a couple pins in just to give you an idea of what we're doing. And this is where you really want some precision. And when I am creating these bags, one of the reasons why I want to show this too is that when I'm putting the zipper down, I use this glue or some type, you could probably even use a glue stick or whatever, and I put the glue on, hit it with an iron, it stays in place, and I don't have to worry about going over pins, not getting a straight line, all of that. And I have found that for me the glue works super well, especially on these bags. So I have that down, and honestly I would probably not do what I just did. I would pin them all. So I'm going to make sure that these are lined up, and this would be the outside of the bag, and that's face down. So your lining is face up, your zipper is face up, and your outside of the bag is face down. When I teach kids, I usually say pretty side up, pretty side down. That they get real quickly. And this is a fun little project to do with kids too. Let them play on the jelly plate and then use that fabric and create a little bag. So then I will sew that across, and when I am done sewing it on that side, I have something that looks like this. And I'm going to now bring this down so that these two, and I'm going to press this with an iron a little bit along that top row there, straighten that out so I have it. Then I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm going to put my lining face up. I think I cut these and then I'm going to put my zipper face up, and notice again this time where the zipper pull was on the left last time, this time it's going to be face up on the right side. So I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to line my other piece, and I want to make sure that they all line up together. So I've got that. And I'm going to when you really want something to go together easily and fast, it takes forever, or at least it does for me. So again, I'm going to put my pins all the way across, pin it down, and sew it. The key on this one is to unzip your zipper part way. And when you get sewing and you get a little about this far from the zipper, go in, stop your needle down, go in and close the zipper and finish it off so you don't have that that lump or bump over it. When you are done sewing that side on, you're going to pull this back and press it, and then you're going to top stitch along the zipper on both sides. You're going to top stitch across that. Once you've done that and both sides are completed, you will put right sides together, linings together, and this is what I wanted to kind of show you, is that when you meet up with these two coming, with sew the zipper, you want your zipper, when you fold it in half, to go towards your lining. And it will kind of automatically do that when you put the two sides together. It goes, the teeth would be out that way or towards you, and you would fold it so that both sides are going this way when you sew around. You want to leave an opening in your lining, so put pins there to show you, enough that you can get in and turn that out. The zipper needs to be open so that you can actually turn your bag right side out. So leaving the zipper open, starting here, sew all the way around, stop and back stitch, turn it right side out, close your opening, and you have a very simple bag. And I know I didn't sew it all together, and maybe sometime we can actually make a bag on camera, but this was more about these are the things that you can do and create. And so what do I do with this stuff? I play at different times with the jelly plate. I get these lovely fabrics and things that I can use either in my mixed media artwork, or I can put into all kinds of things. You can cut them out in a feather shape and cut in and feather, create that. You can make beads for it if you want embellishments. There's book covers, journal pages, where this works really well for those of you who may do journaling. I will create envelopes. So I will take a piece of fabric like this. I will cut the size of a label, and I will put that on so I don't cover it. I have room to write, and I will send a piece of artwork with a drop cloth or something that's got a little stability to it through the mail. And I'll do that with paper, definitely, for that. Cut these into small pieces and use them for, what's very popular right now is mosaic quilting and pieces and patterns for raw edge applique. Make purses or totes out of them. You can make Christmas ornaments, birthday signs, those, flag banners. I have actually taken T-shirts for a family event or whatever, and used the letters of the alphabet, and I have done gel printing directly onto a T-shirt or a tank top, and as I'm just sitting here thinking, those are some things that I have done in the past, and possibly you could try if you wanted to do that. And this is, it started for me in my world of mixed media, that I wanted to do stuff like that. I'm looking right now, and we got some East Coasters here from North Carolina and Detroit. Lived for 5 years outside of Detroit, so welcome. Bridget, I'm glad you got your gel plate. Have a ton of fun with it. And yes, I am getting, artist says from San Diego, looks like you're getting your craft space together. I'm working at it. So I feel a little discombobulated because I don't know where everything is just yet. There's still some things in boxes. Um, And, Wyndon, I am so glad that you created a wall hanging and that you've actually hung up. And that's such a good feeling to be able to do. And this is about, and today I'm not doing the demonstration. I'm sorry. I did that last week. So, Dorothy, if you didn't see last week, go back to YouTube under D. Christopher Quilting or The Quilt Show, and you'll be able to find last week's where I was actually using all of the paint. Um, oh, watch for messages. Um, That's true. You would see someone's phone number, so I will kind of remember that and maybe take my watch off. All right. So, I think I've got the questions. If you have any further ones, please put them on the forum. The other thing that you could do is go to YouTube because you can add questions or comments there. And I always go through both the forum and the YouTube and answer those questions. I can't do that very much live except if I, watch the chat box and do and read them and respond as I can. So, but do go to the forum, and if you make something and you have the ability to put the picture up onto the forum, please do that or send it to me and I'll share it the following week on the live demonstration. And the the thing that I want to leave you with the most this week is this is just another tool, and it's a fun tool. It's really very, very fun. And why do I make my fabric when I can go and purchase it? Because sometimes the gratification that it gives, and that I can do something personal and I can have an enjoyable time at the same time. And it's also just something else for you to put into your toolbox. If you need it, you can pull it out, and you've had some of this. And my job is, for me, is to inspire you to think, create, let go, and make something fun. So I hope that you will definitely do that. And so next week we'll have something new, and we'll be working on, and I can't think right now, and I didn't write it down, what we're doing next week, but stay tuned and they will announce it on the quiltshow.com. And we'll see you next week, and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday and